Good afternoon, students. I hope you all are safe in your home. Don't go outside, stay home, stay safe. Use sanitizer and mask when it is necessary. Today I am going to start your first chapter, and chapter name is Nutrition in Plant. In class 6, you learn that the food is essential for the living organisms. You also learn that carbohydrates, protein, fats, vitamins, and minerals are the components of the food. And these components of food are necessary. These components of food are necessary for our body and called nutrients. Now, at the last academic year in class 6, we learn about, in chapter number 2nd, we learn about from which food material we are getting these nutrients. For example, protein we are getting from milk, egg. Vitamin A we are getting from milk, carrot. B, vitamin B from wheat and rice. Vitamin C, orange, tomato, lemon. And vitamin D, egg, fish, butter, milk. From this various type of food material we are getting this type of nutrients. And in the same chapter we learn about why these nutrients are required to our body. And suppose the deficiency of these vitamins and minerals will occur in a person, then the person will suffer from different kind of diseases. And which different kind of diseases we learn in a class 6 in chapter number 2nd. Now we will start this lesson. All the living organisms required food. All the living organisms required food. We are also living organisms in that plants are also there, animals are also there, small insects are also there, microorganisms are also there. These things are called as living organisms. Plants can make their own food themselves, but animals including humans cannot. They get it from the plants or animals that eat plants, and thus the humans and animals are directly or indirectly dependent on the plant. At the last academic year in the class in chapter number first, we are aware about that animals, only the plants, they can make their own food. They can make their own food, and for them we are called as an autotrophs. We are called as an autotrophs. And after that we learn about the herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. What is the meaning of herbivore? The animals which are depend upon the plant product. The carnivores, the animals which are depend upon the other animals. And omnivores, the animals which are depend upon the plants also and animals also, animal product also. Now from that we learn about plant they can make their own food. But when plant make their own food, now here the last line is humans and animals are directly or indirectly dependent on plant. Why this line is mentioned here? It is a most important line. Why? Because plant make their own food. Herbivores are depend upon the plant. Suppose plants are not there on the earth, the plants are not there on the earth, herbivores cannot be survive. And carnivores are depend upon the herbivores. Suppose herbivores are not present on the earth, then carnivores also cannot be survive. And omnivores also, they are depend upon plant and animal product, and they cannot be survive on the earth. And that's in this way plants and in this way humans and animals are directly or indirectly depend upon the plant. Our the next point is mode of nutrition in plant. Mode of nutrition in plant, what is the meaning of that? Like, just like in types of nutrients, types of nutrition in a plant. Plants are the only organisms that can prepare food for themselves by using water, carbon dioxide, and minerals. The raw material are present in their surrounding. In class 6 we already learned about the photosynthesis process. Shortly, the photosynthesis process is there. Now here in this chapter we will learn about the brief description of the photosynthesis process. Now plant are the only the organisms that can prepare their food themselves. They are preparing their food themselves by the using of water, carbon dioxide, minerals, sunlight, all these things they are using, and they are preparing their own food. The nutrients enable living organisms to build their bodies, to grow, to repair damaged parts of their bodies, and provide to repair damaged parts of their bodies, and provide the energy to carry out life processes. Nutrition is the mode of its taking food by an organism and its utilization of by the body. The the nutrients enable living organisms to build their bodies. Now we are aware about that when we are eating the food, that from that the food we are getting energy to do all the works in a day, in our daily life. The body these food materials also gives the energy to repair our body. to repair our damaged body parts, provide energy to carry out our life processes. And nutrition is the mode of taking food by the organisms and its utilization by the its utilization by the body. Now here, nutrition, what is the meaning of nutrition? We are taking the food and that food will be utilized by our body. The mode of nutrition in which organisms make food, the mode of nutrition in which organisms make food themselves from the simple substances called autotrophic. Auto means self and trophs means nourishment. They are self nourishment, they are doing the self nourishment, they are preparing their own food, self nourishment. Therefore plants are called autotrophs, they are making their own food, that's why they are called as an autotrophs. Animals and other most other organisms take in a ready-made food prepared by the plants, take ready-made food prepared by the plant, they are called heterotrophs, they are called heterotrophs. We already learned in the class 6 in chapter number first heterotroph, what is the meaning of heterotrophs or herbivores, carnivores and omnivores. Heterotrophs, the animals which are depend upon the plants, the animals which are depend upon directly depend upon the plants, that are called as an heterotrophs. Now we may ask now we may ask where the food factories of the plants are located. Food factories or plants are located, whether the food is made in all parts of the plant or only in a certain plants. Now the question will be arises in our mind. Now question is arises in our mind, can plant make their own food all over the body part? Their body parts are there, like roots, stems, branches, leaves are there, in all flowers are there, in all are there, they are preparing their own food, or in certain one part they are preparing their own food. How do plants obtain the raw material from the surrounding? How the plants they are getting the raw material, like minerals, water, carbon dioxide, all the things, how they are getting, how they are taking in their bodies? How do they transport them to the food factories of the plant? Now suppose they are getting this oxygen, so carbon dioxide, water, minerals, and how they transport to whole over the body in a plant? These things, these questions will be arises in our mind. In this chapter we will learn about this, we will find out the answer, Now the next point is photosynthesis, food making process in a plant. Photosynthesis, food making process in a plant. We are aware about that photosynthesis. What is the meaning of photosynthesis? It is a food making process in a plant. Now we will start. Leaves are the food factories of a plant. Keep this line, keep in your mind. Leaves are food factories of a plant. The synthesis of food in plants occurs in a leaves. The synthesis of food will be occur in the leaves of the plant. Therefore all the raw materials must reach there. Water, minerals present in the soil are absorbed by the roots and to the transported to the leaves. Water, minerals will be absorbed from the soil and absorbed from the soil by the roots, and it will be transported to the leaves. And carbon dioxide will be absorbed from the air and taken through the tiny pores present on the surface of the leaves, and these pores are surrounded by the guard cells, and such a pores are called as an stomata. Now on the leaves, on the plant leaves, there are the small tiny pores are present, and from that they absorb the carbon dioxide inside, and these tiny pores are called as an stomata, which is present on the leaves. Now water and minerals are transported to the leaves by the vessels, and which run like pipes throughout the root, the stem and branches and the leaves. They form a continuous path or passage for the nutrients to reach the leaf. You will learn about the transport of materials in plants in chapter number 11. Now here, suppose the water, minerals are absorbed from the roots, and it will be it will be necessary to transport this material to the leaves, because in the leaves only the photosynthesis process is going on, and for that process these things are also required. And for them there are the in the plant body the vessel like structure will be present, and from that vessel like structure there this all the things will be transported to the leaves. And after the preparation of food, again this food will be transported to whole over the body of the plant. Now here water minerals are transported to the leaves by the vessels which run like pipes throughout the root system and the stem, branches and the leaves. From the after root branch stem will be there, and after stem branches will be there, and lastly it passes to the leaves. They form a continuous path or passage for nutrients to reach the leaf. You will learn about transport of materials in a plant in chapter number 11. The name is transportation in plant. Now the leaves have a green pigment which is called chlorophyll, are the most important thing which is present in the plant, and without chlorophyll they cannot make their own food. It helps to leaves to capture the energy of sunlight, and this energy is used to synthesize, which means prepare food from the carbon dioxide and water. And since the synthesis of food occurs in the presence of sunlight and it is called photosynthesis. Photo means light and synthesis means to combine. Now here the leaves which have a green colored pigment which is called as a chlorophyll. That's why because of that chlorophyll the leaves are having green color. It helps to leaves to capture the energy of sunlight. This energy is used to synthesis or prepare the food from carbon dioxide and water. Since the synthesis of food occur in the presence of sunlight, it is called photosynthesis. So we find that the chlorophyll, sunlight, carbon dioxide and water are necessary to carry out the process of photosynthesis, and it is a unique process on the earth. The solar energy is captured by the leaves and stored in the plant in the form of food, and thus sun is the ultimate source of energy for all living organisms. Now from this whole process we learn about plant. Suppose we will think about the plant and they absorb from the root water minerals they getting from the soil. Carbon dioxide they absorb from the stomata which is present on the which is called as a tiny pores which is present on the leaves. From that they are absorbing carbon dioxide, the green color pigment which is present in the leaves which is called as a chlorophyll. All these things are required to prepare a food, and when the sunlight will be captured by the chlorophyll and use of carbon dioxide, water and chlorophyll, sunlight, from this using of this unique process the food particle will be prepared, and this is a unique process. Now at the last one line is mentioned: sun is the ultimate source of energy for all living organisms. At the starting of the chapter we learn about we are directly or indirectly depend upon the plant, because without plant we cannot survive on the earth. And for the survival of the plant, sun is the most important part. Sun is the most important thing on the sun is most important thing which is present here. Now the sun is the ultimate source of energy, because without sun plant cannot make their own food, because photosynthesis process sunlight is sunlight also required, and without sunlight plants cannot make their own food. For that purpose the last line is the most important line: sun is the ultimate source of energy for all living organisms. We are getting energy from the plant getting energy from the sun. Suppose sun is not there, plant cannot make their food, and we cannot get the energy from the plant. That's why the sun is a ultimate source of energy for living organism. Now the next one: can you imagine the earth in the absence of photosynthesis? Can you imagine the earth in the absence of photosynthesis? In the absence of photosynthesis there would not be any plant. The survival of most living organisms directly or indirectly depends upon the food made by the plant. Now at the starting of the chapter, the line is already mentioned there. We are directly or indirectly depend upon the plant. Suppose the photosynthesis process cannot be occurred in the plant, what will be happen? Plant cannot make their own food. They cannot make their own food, and it is difficult to survive all the living organisms, because suppose plant cannot make their own food, plants also cannot survive on the earth, and without plant, herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, nobody will be survive on the earth. Life will not be possible on the earth. Besides oxygen, which is essential for survival of all living organisms, is produced during photosynthesis, is during produced during the photosynthesis. Now we are aware about that when the photosynthesis process is going on, that time that time plants, they are using carbon dioxide, and they are releasing oxygen in the atmosphere. Now for human and animals, they are taking oxygen inside and releasing carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. When the photosynthesis process is going on, that time they are using carbon dioxide, which is not useful for the human beings, and they are releasing oxygen, which is useful for the human beings and animals. Now here, when this that for that purpose also, this photosynthesis process is also most important. In nowadays, population will be increases, only suppose only human beings and animals will be quantity will be increases, that time what will be happen? Oxygen will be utilized by the number of living organisms, and carbon dioxide cannot be utilized by the plants, because plant will be decreased, plants quantity will be decreased. That time what will be happen? Only the oxygen will be utilized by the living organisms, and that's why the percentage of the oxygen will be reduced, and percentage of carbon dioxide will be increased in the atmosphere, and it will be turns into the global warming, and we are aware about the fact of global warming. Now here, during photosynthesis, sorry, in the absence of photosynthesis, life would be impossible on the earth. The most important part from this chapter, life without photosynthesis, life would be impossible on the earth. During photosynthesis, chlorophyll containing cells of leaves, in the presence of sunlight, use carbon dioxide and water to synthesize the carbohydrates. The process can be represented as an equation. You can see on the screen, the one equation is given there: carbon dioxide plus water. One arrow is mentioned there, upper side sunlight and downside chlorophyll is mentioned. And after that, the two products will be we are getting, plants will be prepared: carbohydrate and plus oxygen. When the photosynthesis process is going on, that time what will be happen? Which four things are used by the plant? First one, carbon dioxide, which is absorbed by the leaves; water, which is absorbed from the leaves; sunlight, which is absorbed by the which is absorbed from the chlorophyll, and chlorophyll, which is present in the leaves. From these four things will be photosynthesis process is going on, and after that two product will be prepared. One product is a carbohydrate, which is called as a food particle, and oxygen, which is released in the atmosphere. We are aware about that. Now here, some diagrams are given there. Figure 1.2. First diagram is a leaf A, and second diagram is a section through a leaf. Section through a leaf. In the leaf, where the chlorophyll are present, guard cells are present, stomata are present, and downside in the C figure, stomata opening, guard cells, where the guard cells are present, and stomata opening, as shown in the figure 1.2, A, B, and C. Now here, next one, during this process, oxygen is released. The carbohydrate ultimately converted into the starch, and the presence of starch in a leaves indicate the occurrence of photosynthesis, and the starch is also a carbohydrate. Now we already learn this whole photosynthesis process. I will tell you again what is a photosynthesis process. Now, in the photosynthesis process, plant, they absorb water and minerals from the root. They absorb carbon dioxide from the leaves. They are having chlorophyll, green color pigment, which is present in the leaves, which is called as a chlorophyll. And in the sunlight, they are utilizes all these materials, and they are preparing their own food. And after the during this process they are preparing the during this process they are preparing oxygen, and which will be that will be released in the atmosphere. And from this whole process carbohydrate will be prepared, and these carbohydrates are ultimately converted into the starch. The presence of starch in a leaves indicates that they the occurrence of photosynthesis. In which leaves the starch will be present, that from that we can say that the that leaves will be occurs of photosynthesis process, will be there will be occurrence of the photosynthesis process. Now today we will learn about mode of what is why how the humans and animals are directly or indirectly depend upon the plant, mode of plants, mode of nutrition in plant, photosynthesis, the brief process of photosynthesis process, all these things. Now here upper side one information is given. Beside leaves, photosynthesis also take place in the other green plants parts of the plant. In a green stems and green branches, the desert plants have scale or spine-like leaves to reduce the loss of water by the transpiration. These plants have green stems which carry out the photosynthesis, besides leaves. Suppose we are leaves besides leaves, photosynthesis also take place in a green parts of the plant, in a green stems, green branches. The desert plants, we are aware about that. In desert plants there will be cactus will be there. The desert plants have the scale or spine like leaves to reduce the loss of transpiration. In the chapter number 11 we will learn about the what is the meaning of transpiration process. These plants have green stems which carry out the photosynthesis. Today today we will learn about this whole things. In the next lecture we will see the remaining part.